Social constructionism, or the social construction of reality, is a theory of knowledge in sociology and communication theory that examines the development of jointly constructed understandings of the world. It displays understanding, significance, and meaning that are developed in coordination with other human beings. The elements most important to the theory are the assumption that human beings rationalize their experience by creating a model of the social world, and how it functions, and that language is the most essential system through which humans construct reality. Definition: social constructs or social constructions define meanings, notions, or connotations that are placed on objects and events in the domain and to others' understandings of their relationships to and interactions with these objects in the realm of social constructionist thought. A social construct is an idea or notion that appears to be natural and obvious to people who accept it, but may or may not represent reality. So it stays an invention or artifice of a given society. A major focus of social constructionism is to uncover the ways in which individuals and groups participate in the construction of their perceived social reality. It involves looking at the ways social phenomena are created, institutionalized, known, and made into tradition by humans. Origins. In terms of background, social constructionism is rooted in symbolic interactionism and phenomenology, with Berger and Luckman's The Social Construction of Reality, published in 1966. This concept found its hold more than 4 decades later. A sizable number of theory and research pledged to the basic tenet that people make their social and cultural world at the same time these worlds make them. It is a viewpoint that uproots social processes, simultaneously playful and serious, by which reality is both revealed and concealed, created and destroyed by our activities. It provides a substitute to the Western intellectual tradition, where the researcher earnestly seeks certainty in a representation of reality by means of propositions. In social constructionist terms, taken for granted realities are cultivated from interactions between and among social agents. Furthermore, reality is not some objectionable truth waiting to be uncovered through positivist scientific inquiry. Rather, there can be multiple realities that compete for truth and legitimacy. Social constructionism understands the fundamental role of language in communication, and this understanding has contributed to the linguistic turn, and more recently the turn to discourse theory. The majority of social constructionists abide by the belief that language does not mirror reality, rather, it constitutes, creates it. A broad definition of social constructionism has its supporters and critics in the organizational sciences. A constructionist approach to various organizational and managerial phenomena appear to be more commonplace and on the rise. Andy Locke and Tom Strong trace some of the fundamental tenets of social constructionism back to the work of the 18th-century Italian political philosopher, rhetorician, historian, and jurist Giambattista Vico. According to Locke and Strong, other influential thinkers whose work has had an impact on the development of social constructionism are Edmund Husserl, Alfred Schutz, Maurice Merleau-Ponty, Martin Heidegger, Hans-Georg Gadamer, Paul Ricoeur, Jürgen Habermas, Emmanuel Levinas, Mikhail Bakhtin, Valentin Volosinov, Lev Vygotsky, George Herbert Mead, Ludwig Wittgenstein, Gregory Bateson, Harold Garfinkel, Irving Goffman, Anthony Giddens, Michel Foucault, Ken Gurgin, Mary Gurgin, Rom Harrer, and John Schotter. Social constructionist analysis. Social construction may mean many things to many people. Ian Hacking, having examined a wide range of books and articles with titles of the form "The Social Construction of X" or "Constructing X," argues that when something is said to be socially constructed, this is shorthand for at least the following 2 claims. In the present state of affairs, X is taken for granted, X appears to be inevitable, X need not have existed, or need not be at all as it is. X, or X as it is at present, is not determined by the nature of things, it is not inevitable. Hacking adds that the following claims are also often, though not always, implied by the use of the phrase social construction. X is quite bad as it is. We would be much better off if X were done away with, or at least radically transformed. Thus a claim that gender is socially constructed probably means that gender, as currently understood, is not an inevitable result of biology, but highly contingent on social and historical processes. In addition, depending on who is making the claim, it may mean that our current understanding of gender is harmful, and should be modified or eliminated, to the extent possible. According to Hacking, social construction claims are not always clear about exactly what isn't inevitable, or exactly what should be done away with. Consider a hypothetical claim that quarks are socially constructed. On one reading, this means that quarks themselves are not inevitable or determined by the nature of things. On another reading, this means that our idea of quarks is not inevitable or determined by the nature of things. The distinction between quarks themselves and our idea of quarks will undoubtedly troublesome with a philosophical bent. Hacking's distinction is based on intuitive metaphysics, with a split between things out in the world, on one hand, and ideas thereof in our minds, on the other. Hacking is less advocating a serious, particular metaphysics than he is suggesting a useful way to analyze claims about social construction. Hacking is much more sympathetic to the second reading than the first. Furthermore, he argues that, if the second reading is taken, there need not always be a conflict between saying that quarks are socially constructed, and saying that they're real. In our gender example, this means that while a legitimate biological basis for gender may exist, some of society's perceptions of gender may be socially constructed. The stronger first position, however, is more or less an inevitable corollary of Willard Van Orman Quine's concept of ontological relativity, and particularly of the Duhem-Quine thesis. That is, according to Quine and like-minded thinkers, there is no single privileged explanatory framework that is closest to the things themselves. Every theory has merit only in proportion to its explanatory power. As we step from the phrase to the world of human beings, social construction analyses can become more complex. Hacking briefly examines Ellen Morse's analysis of the social construction of women refugees. According to him, Morse's argument has several pieces, some of which may be implicit. Canadian citizens' idea of the woman refugee is not inevitable, but historically contingent. Women coming to Canada to seek asylum are profoundly affected by the category of the woman refugee. Among other things, if a woman does not count as a woman refugee, according to the law, she may be deported, and forced to return to very difficult conditions in her homeland. Such women may modify their behavior, and perhaps even their attitudes towards themselves, in order to gain the benefits of being classified as a woman refugee. If such a woman does not modify her behavior, she should be considered un-Canadian and as such should not be admitted to citizenship. Hacking suggests that this third part of the analysis, the interaction between a socially constructed category and the individuals that are actually or potentially included in that category, is present in many social construction analyses involving types of human beings. Social constructionism accepts that there is an objective reality. It is concerned with how knowledge is constructed and understood. It has therefore an epistemological, not an ontological perspective. Criticisms and misunderstanding arise when this central fact is misinterpreted. This is most evident in debates and criticisms surrounding realism and relativism. The words of Kirk and Miller are relevant when they suggest that the search for a final, absolute truth be left to philosophers and theologians. Social constructionism places great emphasis on everyday interactions between people and how they use language to construct their reality. It regards the social practices people engage in as the focus of enquiry. According to him, Kirk and Miller investigated Sam Shepard case led to Shepard acquittal. Applications. Personal construct psychology. Since its appearance in the 1950s, personal construct psychology has mainly developed as a constructivist theory of personality and a system of transforming individual meaning-making processes, largely in therapeutic contexts. It was based around the notion of persons as scientists who form and test theories about their worlds. Therefore, it represented one of the first attempts to appreciate the constructive nature of experience and the meaning persons give to their experience. Social constructionism, on the other hand, mainly developed as a form of a critique, aimed to transform the oppressing effects of the social meaning-making processes. Over the years, it has grown into a cluster of different approaches, with no single SC position. However, different approaches under the generic term of SC are loosely linked by some shared assumptions about language, knowledge, and reality. A usual way of thinking about the relationship between PCP and SC is treating them as two separate entities that are similar in some aspects, but also very different in others. This way of conceptualizing this relationship is a logical result of the circumstantial differences of their emergence. In subsequent analyses, these differences between PCP and SC were framed around several points of tension, formulated as binary oppositions: personal, social, individualist, relational, agency, structure, constructivist, constructionist. Although some of the most important issues in contemporary psychology are elaborated in these contributions, the polarized positioning also sustained the idea of a separation between PCP and SC, paving the way for only limited opportunities for dialogue between them. Reframing the relationship between PCP and SC may be of use in both the PCP and the SC communities. On one hand, it extends and enriches SC theory and points to benefits of applying the PCP toolkit in constructionist therapy and research. On the other hand, the reframing contributes to PCP theory and points to new ways of addressing social construction in therapeutic conversations. Educational psychology. Social constructivism has been studied by many educational psychologists who are concerned with its implications for teaching and learning. For more on the psychological dimensions of social constructivism, see the work of Ernst von Glazes-Feld and A. Sullivan Palinczar. Systemic therapy. Systemic therapy is a form of psychotherapy which seeks to address people as people in relationship, dealing with the interactions of groups and their interactional patterns and dynamics.